You guys ever look at the news cycle and just think, why? Like, why are we actually talking about this? Why is this a discussion? Why is this a debate? Well, that's exactly how I thought when I heard the breaking news that American Eagle did an ad with Sydney Sweeney talking about her great genes. I look fly. Yeah, I look good. Sorry about that. I had the wrong American Eagle ad. Here's the actual real American Eagle ad.
Parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney, Casper King.
Is that ad a clear call for eugenics and a return to white supremacy and a calculated plot that Sydney Sweeney and American Eagle are in on to promote these ideals? I don't think so. But what I do think is a calculated plot is the media and politicians on both sides that are both on BS using this to divide us over race, like they've been dividing us over race for the past however long and dividing us over everything in the last 10 years specifically. Now, the reason that I say this is an article that I found by Rolling Stone, and it got me thinking because it's titled Denim Drama. The political battle for your butt continues. This is a real political, this is a political article that is Sydney Sweeney and Beyoncé posing for sponsorships in jeans. And apparently it's a denim battle, the political battle for your butt. This is crazy. Everything is politicized. Everything is. And I feel like they're doing it on purpose to ramp up tensions and get sales for both of these. So let's get into why I think that. Skipping a little bit into the article, which it says President Trump was amongst the latter group, praising the campaign after learning that Sweeney is registered as a Republican in her home state of Florida, saying Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican and has the hottest ad out there. It's for American Eagle, and the jeans are flying off the shelves. Doesn't Trump's little tweet sound kind of like an American Eagle sponsorship? The celebrity-based advertising is not a mystery. You guys might remember Matthew McConaughey was on the ad for Lincoln way back in the day, or Shane Gillis is on the ad for Bud Light. If you hate Shane Gillis, you're not going to buy Bud Light, regardless of what you think of the product. You might have never tasted Bud Light. You have no impression of it. You don't have any ill feelings about the company. But if you hate Shane Gillis and the company's sponsoring Shane Gillis, then guess what? I'm not buying Bud Light. But on the contrary, if you like Shane Gillis, and once again, you've never tried Bud Light, you have no ill feelings about the company, you are going to be more inclined to try that product. That's why Prime has Logan Paul at the face of it. And that's why so many celebrities are based with these products. Why do they put celebrities' faces on cereal boxes? Literally, because you have an association with good people that you like and then buying the product. And then we're going to get into the end of this Rolling Stone article. And at the very end of it, conveniently, which we're going to backtrack to explain their biasy, but to confirm their biasy, they say, the good news is Beyonce's new Levi's collection is still in stock and still very cool. Shop the full collection at Levi.com. American Eagle, meanwhile, is still running a sale on its Sydney Sweeney jeans. And then beneath that, they have all of the Levi's products there with links where you can click to buy them and them being modeled by women. So, is this really this political debate that everybody is just so adamantly passionate about and everybody's worrying about? Doesn't seem like it to me. I've purposefully gone to 3 separate malls in 3 completely different areas that have American Eagle / Levi outfitters in them. Nobody cares. You see people of all races, all ethnicities shopping in both stores, and nobody cares in the public. But meanwhile, these articles and Trump are going to write these pieces to try to enrage you, inflame you, make the issue seem so much bigger than it actually is. When in actuality, nobody cares. Nobody thinks that it's full of white supremacy. Like when you see the photo of the one, I'll say chubby black lady flipping off the Sydney Sweeney ad, Dude, does anyone believe that that isn't a representation of how the majority of black people feel about that ad? Conversely, on the other side, this article points out Megyn Kelly, who seems salty about the Beyoncé Levi's ad and says that nothing on Beyonce's natural, clearly looking at the blonde hair that she has in the ad. Who cares? Is that a representation for how all white people feel about it? I don't think so. When I went to Levi's, I seen quite a few whiteys in the store. So like to me, it's quite clearly the political and elite media classes and political classes stirring this up to make people upset. Circling back to the article by Rolling Stone, it talks about Piers Morgan, and I want to mention that because I follow Piers Morgan on Twitter, and I noticed this tweet. So Rolling Stone says, Piers Morgan joined in criticizing Beyonce's Levi's campaign, writing that Beyonce's blonde hairstyle is a cultural appropriation of Marilyn Monroe, who in fact, a white person, not a culture. So Piers Morgan made a comment looking at Beyonce's Levi's ad, which you guys can see, saying that it is cultural appropriation for her to do that. Do you guys not understand in Rolling Stone that Piers Morgan is being facetious? And if you guys don't understand what Piers Morgan is doing and how he's being facetious, or if you don't know what facetious means, there is a lot of black people who will see white women in braids, in dreads, in cornrows, or whatever hairstyle, white men, white women, or whoever want to do. And they will get upset and say that you are culturally appropriating our hairstyles, that those are black hairstyles. So Piers Morgan is being facetious and basically, giving the other side a taste of their own medicine, saying, look at Beyonce, a beautiful black woman adopting a white hairstyle. So that's not cultural appropriation for the other way around. Like Rolling Stone said, they said, oh, Marilyn Monroe was a white person. It's not a culture. Black, by extent then, is also not a culture. Now, I don't agree with Rolling Stone's analysis of white not necessarily being a culture, as I don't agree with black not being a culture. People are very tribalistic. If you go into a jail or a prison, 99% of the prisons and jails are racially divided. Why is that? Because humans are tribalistic. So, of course, black people are going to have their own customs, white people are going to have their own customs, and all black people hail from, certain areas, and all white people hail from certain areas. Everybody has a culture. Even if you're from America, you have an American culture. So to say that nothing is cultural appropriation is still wrong, but foolishly to say that, this is cultural appropriation, and to call it out on the white side and not call it out on the other side, to me it makes your argument asinine. It doesn't do you any sort of favors in getting your message across in a way that is advantageous to gaining new viewers and actually having people that are in the middle open their eyes to you. Rolling Stone then goes on to talk about the stockholder prices, which at the top of the article, they had a little tidbit right there in the fine print that said, both companies have seen rising prices in their stocks, almost as if they're promoting this as a news story to try to get other companies to do the same thing, so they will also see rising stock prices. America is very capitalistic. The stock market is capitalistic. Owners have an obligation to their shareholders to see higher and higher profit margins every single quarter, so that way a company makes more money. The government is like a company at the end of the day. The GDP, it gets its stats, it gets its quarterlies just like a company. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that everybody here is actually in on it. American Eagle, Levi's, Rolling Stone, Trump. I think it's very possible that everybody is just using this to sell products, as I've been mentioning. But this is the rest of what they say to further exemplify their bias. The denim drama is an example of all publicity is good publicity. Levi is almost up 7% over the last 5 days, while American Eagle has soared over 18% in the same period. Search interest, however, tells a different story. Searches for American Eagle have plummeted 57% since the height of Sydney Sweeney's controversy, while searches for Levi's have been relatively unchanged. The online quips continue with Lizzo rapping, "Bitch, I got good genes like I'm Sydney," for a teaser for a new song. Sounds to me like Lizzo is clout chasing. Like she's just going to be another person in the line of Sydney Sweeney, Donald Trump, Levi's, American Eagle, and now Lizzo, who are all going to make money off of racially dividing the masses and the poor people. Meanwhile, rich people like Lizzo and Sydney Sweeney are laughing to the bank. Like I mentioned before, they say the good news is that Beyonce's new Levi collection is still in stock. And this is why Trump recently got a lot of flack for cutting funding, taxpayer/government funding for news organizations. Maybe we should, because let's say Donald Trump cuts the funding for certain news organizations and the Democrats will bring it back. Well, if I'm that news organization, I want the Democrats to be elected. I'm going to make my stories catered to them. Or when the Democrats do something, or when they do something wrong, which they do, it's, let's push it under the rug, or let's make a quick little story about it, only talk about it for 5 minutes on the TV channel, and then get that shit out of here. Conversely, if Trump does the same thing, let's keep it on there for 5 minutes, and vice versa. A new acronym I'm going to be using is on BS, on bullshit. On both sides, there is on BS, because they're on bullshit. But I just wanted to rant a little bit about the Sydney Sweeney thing. Don't let yourself be divided over these political elites trying to make money. The Sydney Sweeney ad is probably provocative on purpose with the phrasing. The reaction is probably manufactured like Rolling Stones here, where they're just promoting a different company. Trump is in on it. He's making money. If the stock market and the government does well, he makes money. It's all money. Don't let money control you. You guys have a great day.